So the other day we did leading coefficient ones that you could factor out, meaning that everything would be divisible by that first number. But in this case, that 35 does not go into 44 and it does not go into -7. So this is the hardest kind of factoring. And there's just an extra couple of steps, but the beginning kind of looks like what we've been doing. It's just a little bit different. So you have to pay attention when there's a leading coefficient. That 35 messes things up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first number and the last number. So that gives us -245. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. And we say what times what is that number, which is the first number times the last, no longer just the -7, but the 35 times -7. And added together is the -44. So you're going to put that in the calculator just like you did before. So you do y equals -245 over x, and y equals -x minus 44. And you look for two numbers that are going to add up to those two. So you're going to look for the columns where the y columns are the same. So let's go ahead and do that. So when I do that, and I hit second window and start at 0, and I start looking for the two y columns to be the same, I find a 5, -49, and -49. So we know that 5 and -49 are the two numbers we're looking for. But you've got to be careful. Do not, under any circumstances, just put x plus 5, x minus 49, because that will not be right. You have to do some extra steps here. So what we're going to do with those at 5 and 49 is we're going to add a little x to them. And we're going to substitute this guy here with those two numbers. So watch what I do. I have 35k squared minus 49k plus 5k and then the -7. So all I've done is replace that -44k with those two numbers. Well, guess what? What is -49k plus 5k? That adds up to -44k. So you haven't changed the equation. You've just replaced that middle number with two numbers that will help us solve the equation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to regroup. We're going to take these two and these two. And we're going to look at each one separately. So we're going to say to ourselves, what can I take out of both 35 and 49? And that would be a 7. And how many k's can I take out of k squared and 1k? That would be 1k, because they both have 1 they can give me. That second guy only has 1, so they only have 1 they can give me. And then I do this parenthesis here, and I say, okay, 7k times what is 35k squared? That would be 5k. And 7k times what is -49k? That would be -7. So that would be that. Now in the second parenthesis, there is nothing that I can take out of that parenthesis. So I always take out a 1. And I have 5k minus 7. If you notice, these two are the same. So that's going to be your first parenthesis, 5k minus 7. And the two that got left out in the cold here are your second parentheses, 7k plus 1. And if you have any questions on if you did it right, foil those two back together using either the box method or foiling, and you'll get 35k squared minus 44k minus 7. So now you're ready to make each one equal to 0. Whenever you have a leading coefficient, your answers are going to have fractions in them. One or both could be fractions. In this case, both are fractions. I picked this one to do because it's a little bit harder. So we'll make 5k minus 7 equal to 0. 5k equals 7. Divide by 5. So k equals 7/5. And here I have 7k plus 1 equals 0. 7k equals -1. K equals -1/7. So those are your two solutions. So like yesterday and the day before, what I want is the factored form, this right here, and then the two solutions, this right here, just like before. They're just going to be uglier answers. So that was number 4. Go ahead and put that answer on your page so you'll have that. And I'm going to go ahead and do another one. So just like we just did before, we have a leading coefficient, so we have to multiply the 10 and the 21. And we say to ourselves, what times what is 210? That's 10 times 21, and added together is 41. So we're going to go on our calculator and see what the answer is. And when we go down on the table, we see that we get a 6, 35, and 35. There's your X column, Y and Y. Help each other out here. If you can't see it, show your neighbor. Okay. So you have 6, 35, and 35. So those are the two numbers. 10n squared plus 6n plus 35n plus 21. So again, we have replaced that guy with the two numbers that we found, which happen to add up to 41n. So we're not changing anything, we're just changing the look, and that still equals 0. And then I'm going to put the parenthesis here and parenthesis here, and then factor. What number can I take out of both a 10 and a 6? That would be a 2 and 1n. Usually you can take out a letter out of the first one and not the second one, just so you know that. And then you have 5n plus 3 left there. And over here it looks like I can take out a 7, and I have 5n plus 3. Trust me when I tell you, these two are always going to be the same, so you can kind of figure out what you need to do if you have it right. So then your two parentheses are 5n plus 3, 2n plus 7. Remember the 2 that got left out in the cold, or the second one? And now you make each one of those equal to 0. So 5n plus 3 equals 0. 5n equals negative 3. Divide by 5. And there's your first answer. And then 2n plus 7 equals 0. 2n equals negative 7. Divide by 2. And there's your second answer. So n equals negative 3/5 and n equals negative 7/2. And those are your answers. So that goes on your paper, and that goes on your paper. Go ahead and put that on number 9. And then start the work. You have 10 more to do together. Work together.